忍びの時代は終わる。
螺旋が
Chapter 30 spoilers are here. The battle between Konoha and Mamushi isn't over yet, but as you can see, Himawari, with her perfect chakra control, uses the Biju Bomb for the second time, just like she did when fighting Jura. But this time, she uses it to destroy several Mamushi gathered in the middle of the Konoha village. And yeah, that's actually the interesting part. Look at how history has been made, with a little girl like Himawari surpassing all her predecessors by creating the Biju Bomb. Oh yeah, at least that's all for the Chapter 30 spoilers. But in the next 8 minutes, I want to discuss a little, or maybe talk a little about some parts that I find interesting. In other words, there are many interesting angles we can discuss from this Chapter 30 spoiler, especially after Team Inoshikacho destroyed Mamushi and Himawari using the Biju Bomb to annihilate them. And once again, at least these few points are interesting enough for us to discuss in the next 8 minutes. First, after we saw how Chapter 29 ended with Inoshikacho helping Himawari fight Mamushi, at this point Himawari used her Biju Bomb. But did you know, I think some fans, or maybe even the majority, didn't notice this. Simply put, the Biju Bomb is a technique with a massive output, right? And perhaps, in simple terms, what did Ikamoto think? I mean, isn't this a bit excessive? Because as we know, if we go back to chapter 9 or 10, when Jura was searching for following his instincts about Kurama's whereabouts and what happened, was Himawari, we saw a brief battle in the middle of Konoha. When Jura wanted to unleash the Biju Bomb at them, thanks to Chocho, the Biju Bomb missed. But look, an output with damage that I think is not that simple and not that small, right? Now at this point, as I said earlier, isn't that a bit excessive? Because honestly, saying that Hima tried to destroy Konoha is ridiculous, right? Because at the very least, looking at the expressions on Chocho, or even Shikadai's faces, it's clear that they are genuinely worried. And I admit, maybe this isn't important or anything, but at least that's the first part. Then for the second part, believe it or not, perhaps after this leak came out, many people thought that Himawari's power was truly unreasonable. What I mean is, most fans feel that when compared to Naruto, the power gap between them at the same age is huge, because the difference in power levels at such a young age is so great, she truly surpasses Naruto's power and abilities at an adult age. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? So simply put, the question might be as follows. Has Himawari fully synchronized with Kurama? Or in other words, has Himawari not only regained Kurama's power, but also gained access to all of Kurama's power? Second, how is Himawari at such a young age able to master or even control the Biju Bomb? Because as I just said, I think most fans know that the Biju Bomb is not a low-level technique or a simple technique, right? It's a god-level technique that even Naruto took a long time to master. Third, this is just my curiosity, or maybe it's just my imagination. At this point, if the Biju Bomb is released towards Mamushi and causes a large explosion that even damages several buildings in Konoha, will it trigger Jura's arrival? Or will it even trigger Konoha itself? What I mean is, in this case, we know that according to Kashin Koji, Jura will not appear even if Hima or Boruto appear in the middle of Mamushi's battle with Konoha. Is that right? Because considering the location of Konoha chosen as the battlefield, it will not trigger Jura's intervention. But the real question is, what if that isn't 100% valid? Because somehow, ever since Koji was wrong in predicting that Boruto was supposedly done for without a doubt against Jura, at this point we can start to think, or at least consider, other probabilities. In other words, with some evidence showing that what Kashin Koji said isn't 100% accurate, it's also possible that at this point Jura could still appear in the middle of the battle between Konoha and Mamushi. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? Because once again, if we remove the scenario of Kashin Koji's prediction being wrong, then it means Jura is still working according to his own rules. And that means there is a specific trigger that must be met for him to intervene. And in my opinion, there are at least 3 main triggers that could make Jura finally step in. First, a threat to the existence of the Shinju itself. As long as Mamushi is only dealing with Konoha ninja, it's still a local conflict, or it's just a normal battle. But if at some point Mamushi is pushed to the point where he could potentially lose his function or existence as part of the Shinju, I think that's when Jura's appearance or intervention would make sense. Because believe it or not, Jura as the leader has priorities. I don't know what words would be appropriate to represent this, but one thing is certain. Seeing how Hidari, Ryu, and even Mamushi were defeated, there is a significant difference, especially regarding Jura's reaction itself. For example, look at how Sasuke, aka Hidari, was defeated and destroyed by Boruto. When Boruto secured the Togodama, Jura couldn't let Boruto take it and easily snatched it back. Meanwhile, in the case of Ryu and Matsuri, look at these two parts. First, Ryu tries to escape from the suction of Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan, and we can even see some of Ryu's fingers appearing in the black cube as if he's trying to escape or even ask for help, but Jura seems indifferent and doesn't care. Even as you can see after Ryu and Matsuri are destroyed and their Togodama is exposed, Jura, who just appeared in the middle of the battle, seems indifferent and unconcerned about their Togodama. Even when Konohamaru takes the Togodama away, Jura only focuses on Boruto instead of taking Matsuri's or even Ryu's Togodama. Because once again, for Jura, taking Ryu and Matsuri's Togodama is not a big deal. As we have seen how Jura seizing Hidari's Togodama, he should be able to do the same, right? And at this point, we should be able to conclude that Jura has priorities and also Jura has some favorite divine tree humans. Yeah, at least that's what we can easily understand. So at this point also, Jura's intervention isn't just about Boruto or Himawari. Even if the fight took place in Konoha, I think Jura would still intervene. And one of the biggest reasons for that is Mamushi, because after all, Jura only has Hidari and Mamushi. And try to imagine if Mamushi also had to end. And in my opinion, Jura would not let that happen. Besides the fact that Mamushi has abilities, or even that we know from recent chapters that Mamushi's thinking abilities are superior to Jura's own, Jura should not let Mamushi lose or even be destroyed just like that. Because whether you believe it or not, Mamushi's existence isn't just as a divine tree human. Rather, it's to maintain the balance of the entire Shinju structure. So, as a final conclusion, saying that Himawari is trying to destroy Konoha is something ridiculous. And in this case, there are probably three alternatives. First, Himawari will actually unleash the Biju Bomb on Mamushi and cause massive damage. Second, when Himawari tries to unleash the Biju Bomb, another intervention successfully prevents Himawari from unleashing it. Third, as the favorite divine tree human, like Jura won't let Mamushi lose, let alone let the Togodama be taken or destroyed by Konoha. Because I think Bug doesn't have priority to be saved by Konoha, especially since Bug isn't part of Konoha itself. So if it comes to the point where Mamushi loses, the Togodama should be destroyed, right? But from another perspective, Jura won't let that happen. Yeah, that's just how it is, but out of those three things, which one do you think makes the most sense? Himawari fails to release the Biju Bomb, or Jura appears in the middle of the fight in Chapter 30 to save Mamushi? Whatever your thoughts are, let's talk about it in the comments. Thanks for watching, like and subs. I'm Nim without the E. See you in the next league. Bye-bye, Data Bio.